Good morning, Rick. We're at it again. You ready to go?
Good morning, Keith Jones. Yes, sir, I sure am.
Great. The title of this episode will be The Effects of a Practice on Creativity. Rick, why don't you kick us off?
The effects of the practice on creativity. Okay. Um, I think every person, first of all, has the ability to create and a drive to create. Both of those things are existing in all of us all the time. They get submerged, I think, through the course of daily living. And it's difficult sometimes in the midst of whatever we're doing in life to remember that we have the authorship, the artist's signature on our lives. And so I'm not talking about anything grand here. I'm talking about just mindfulness of being in the practice, which allows the creativity that we're naturally imbued with to bubble up with inside of us. And creativity applies to every person in every walk of life. I don't care what kind of work you're doing. I'm talking about creativity in the sense of creating a life that has meaning for you and makes you feel like you are alive. Meaning and the feeling, the experience of feeling alive. And so the practice for me has become not only something that I use daily to try to get beyond my ego, but also to try to get in touch with something greater than myself, which involves that creativity. I know it sounds bizarre, but our personal creativity seems to come from a sense of belonging, a sense of peace, a sense of being well, of being healthy. And so the practice and what I define by the practice includes a way of looking at life that involves fitness and health as primary goals that you tend to every day. Meditation so that you're in touch with yourself and you're in touch with the rest of the world in a way that does not have your own ego, your wants and needs in the forefront. It's about submerging that, or at least being open to whatever your mind feels without becoming your mind. And then I think the last component for me would be a sense of being in nature, because nature to me is the ultimate, along with music, mood changer. If you're having difficulties, if I'm having difficulties in any area of my life, music and nature seem to be the resolutions. It used to be alcohol, but I've gone past that. So anyway, the creativity is, I think, a birthright, and I think it's something each of us has. We lose touch of because we're out of practice. And the creativity that I'm talking about comes from someplace deep within, and it's available all the time. But to get to it, you have to fight through layers of things that I think make us cope with everyday life. Last point about creativity, it is the life force. If you think of creativity as your own personal life force, meditate on that and see what bubbles up for you. Meditate on the idea that you are the creator of your own life and see what happens and just let it go. Just see what happens. There's I said one last point, but I'm a lawyer, so there's always two last points. The last point I wanted to make was that I'm inspired by this topic, Keith, when you raised it, because one of my favorite artists, David Lynch, just passed away. And David Lynch is a director who did Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive, oh gosh, Twin Peaks, the TV show. Very creative, wonderful artist who's a painter as well. But he was also a bit dark and he was surreal. But I think that helped him understand the world. So whatever lens that you look through, whether it's the Lynch lens or your own personal lens or anything that involves any kind of a creative notion, I think is helpful to expand and build on our personal life force.
Wow, Rick, you said so much there. I really have nothing to add, man. I mean, I just want to use the practice so that my creativity can flow and hopefully be a contribution to, consciousness, So to do that, it needs to be free of my ego. That's for sure, because that will certainly taint whatever flows out of me. So, Rick, thank you for a great show, and I really hope the listeners will take this on. I think some people think that they are creative, and some people think that they're not. And as Michael Singer says, if you're not being creative, it means you're blocked. And another word for being blocked is being distracted by your personal self. So, Rick, thank you so much for this topic. And, I have a project later today for work. So, I'm going to do a little mindfulness before I start it so that hopefully, something flows out of me that's creative. Thank you, Rick. I love you.
I love you, Keith. It's always there. Your heart is always there. And anyone who knows you sees that right away. It's a beautiful thing to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.